Hi, I'm Brittany. Welcome back to The Bee's Business and welcome to another children's literature review. My goal in creating this series on my channel is to help parents and fellow educators find titles in children's literature that are motivational, inspirational, educational, or a combination of these. In order to keep my review series consistent, I follow the same 5, sometimes 6-step review process. Today I am reviewing for you an adorable text called One Tiny Tree Frog, A Countdown to Survival by Piedra and Mackenzie Joy. Deep in the tropical forest of Costa Rica, 10 sticky frog eggs cling to a leaf. Only 9 eggs hatch. Only 8 tadpoles wind up in the water below. What will it take to survive the countdown to adulthood and begin the cycle again? Co-creators Piedra and Mackenzie Joy have crafted a dazzling spin on the life of one of nature's darlings, the colorful red-eyed tree frog. The dust jacket, as well as the front cover of this text, are the same. I love the picture going on here on the front. It really draws the reader in, particularly if it is a child. This bright, vibrant green and this adorable little frog with his big red eyes just makes you want to crack the book open and see what else is inside. This inside cover is very creatively done. This resembles tadpole eggs. I always love to take a second to read the dedication page. To my mother's garden, the place where I first became enchanted by the small wonders of nature, TP. To Massey, who taught me to love Costa Rica, and to my mom, who taught me to love science, MJ. On the very first page, I'm enchanted with this text. One of the things that I'm noticing is going on is that there is a countdown. We're starting here at 10, and as you flip through the pages, you'll see 9, 8, that page is super exciting, we'll get to it, and it counts all the way down to 0. So I enjoy that we are packing this book full of information, including counting. Also, on many of the pages, you will spot a Costa Rican species, and you have the name of that species, both the scientific name as well as the traditional name. So we start off with 10 tiny tadpoles, and they're growing in their eggs. 9 alert tadpoles begin to wiggle free. The tiny details in this text are just gorgeous. Here on this page, we can see 9 tadpoles with big eyes open. One of these tadpoles doesn't seem to have an eye. They're wiggling, but this one here is clearly not an alert tadpole, and we can begin to make a prediction that that tadpole is not going to hatch. This has got to be one of my favorite pages in the text. I love that we end up holding the book in a vertical position in order to read this page. 8 wriggling tadpoles plunge, and we watch each of those tadpoles sort of drip from the leaf down into the water. This is such a fun way to interact with this text and is a unique way to continue to draw the reader in page after page. Plink, 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 into a watery new home. We continue to see different Costa Rican species. We're now down to 7 wary tadpoles learn to hide. 6 little tadpoles peek above the pool. Yet another species, this is the carmine skimmer. 5 growing tadpoles start to kick, 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 kick. We can see one other little tadpole over here. He didn't seem to grow legs, so he looks like he might be about to be a meal for this little species here. 4 strong tadpoles surface for a breath of air. Another one of those tiny details. There are no words on this page, which really encourages you to take in the illustrations. And immediately, on my first read through, I noticed that of these 4 tadpoles here, 3 of them were looking in the upward direction, and I can see these legs of some kind of creature here. This one, however, is not. His eyes are looking more toward the snail. So I had this feeling of something's gonna happen to this guy because he doesn't seem prepared. And I was right. 3 quick tadpoles jump. And so we can see the 3 tadpoles that jump out of the way, and that one that wasn't looking became a meal. This is the bare-throated tiger heron. 2 nimble tadpoles prepare to leave the water. Here we have a young spectacled caiman. We can see these 2 tadpoles heading toward the surface. 1 resilient tadpole sees something familiar. He's got big eyes, he's being observant. Snap! But have no fear, that caiman only got a leaf and our little frog is here on that leaf, getting himself away from that predator. 0 tiny tadpoles, because now we have 1 tiny tree frog, and there are his adorable red eyes. And that is the end of the story, but then we have a lot of scientific information. What does it take to become 1 tiny red-eyed tree frog? It takes a whole lot of eggs. So on my first read through, another thought that I had was, no way did they lay only 10 eggs. So I really appreciated this page in the back. One of the facts that they left here is that this story starts with 10 eggs, but red-eyed tree frogs usually lay clutches of closer to 40 eggs on leaves that overhang ponds or temporary pools of water. So bringing it back to the facts was something that my scientific side appreciated, because while I love the idea of counting down from 10 and adding in that educational element to the story, I also really appreciate when stories are factual. So came full circle for me, so I'm not gonna give it any negative marks for that. And there are some other great pieces of information here. And then we have a Can You Spot All the Costa Rican Species that appeared in the book. So we had 13 different species that appeared, and in case you didn't see them all, it is encouraging you sort of to go back through the story and look for those species. So yet another way to tie in some more science and some more information and facts. And then we do have some little pictures of each of these creatures, so if you didn't see them on each of the pages in the story, there's another quick glance at them here. And can you believe there's still more? Surviving to become 1 tiny tree frog. We go through 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to 0, and we have more information packed in each of these little blurbs. 10. Red-eyed tree frogs are nocturnal amphibians that lay their eggs on leaves overhanging ponds and puddles. And then it continues to go on, all the way down to 0. Red-eyed tree frogs can be found in the lowland, wet forests of Central America, from the Yucatan to northern Colombia, and more. And then we even have the red-eyed tree frog life cycle. And that brings us to the end of the story. There's some information about the authors on the back that I'll share with you. I really want to give them a little moment in the spotlight. Tony Piedra grew up in Houston, Texas, chasing lizards in the backyard and capturing adventures in his sketchbook. He relocated to California, where he worked for many years at Pixar Animation Studios. Searching for a new artistic challenge, he left the studio with the hope of making something beautiful of his own. In 2018, that hope was fulfilled. With publication of his debut picture book, The Greatest Adventure, Tony Piedra lives in Northern California. Mackenzie Joy grew up in California and spent much of her childhood drawing, reading, playing sports, and being outdoors. Her mission in life is to bring people together and to show that you can be enough simply by being yourself. I want to increase understanding and respect, she says, between people, for the environment and nature, for science, for art. Mackenzie Joy is also the author-illustrator of Wallflowers. She lives in Northern California. Mac and T. A little bit of combined information about Tony and Mackenzie. They first met at a children's book meetup in Northern California. Impressed by each other's art and ideas, they quickly formed a friendship. But it wasn't until 2019, while they were stuck waiting 8 hours for a delayed flight, that they decided to work together. Over several orders of airport french fries, they produced 4 book ideas, one of which became 1 Tiny Tree Frog. I adore this book for all of the reasons that I've already shared with you. I'm rating it a 10 out of 10. I think it's a great way to get scientific information into the hands of kids in a fun and exciting way. While I haven't had the opportunity yet to read The Greatest Adventure by Tony Piedra or Wallflowers by Mackenzie Joy, those are 2 books that I'm going to add to my list of ones I would like to check out. I've come to learn that I typically enjoy multiple stories by the same author or illustrator, and so I always like to check out some of the other work that they've done. So in closing, love this book, would definitely recommend it, especially if you have any science-loving kiddos in your life. Thank you so much for joining me for today's book review. I hope you found it helpful. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!